Welcome to the upstreamlife.com. I'm your founder and editor, Vishal Krishna. I have with me the founder of LumosLabs, Kaavya Prasad. How are you, Kaavya?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for talking to me. We are at a summit that talks all blockchain, everything, ETH, whatnot, right? Crypto, whatever, and the thing that the community is building. And you're a community yourself. So what is Build as a community? Build for Web3 and the Summit 2023. What does it mean for you?
So the reason we decided to do this summit is one, the market's been down, things have been slow for the last year or so for everybody in the industry, and we wanted to kind of bring back that innovative mindset, right? That people kind of lost in translation with the whole market downturn. So builders never stop building, no matter what the market looks like, and innovation is always on an all-time high, but with new people coming into the space, that kind of gets a little blurry, right? So we wanted to bring in more of that technical knowledge that developers can take, infer, and then explore further use cases in blockchain, right? We're starting to see a lot of repetitive companies out there now.
Repetitive in what?
People doing the same thing, right? So if it's an exchange, what is the USP between one exchange and the other?
There's no USP really, to be honest, right?
I mean,
that's repetitive for sure.
Yeah, probably the funding amount and what chain they're built on. So yeah, that's one. Even with protocols, right?
There's so many. Yeah, there's so many protocols as well.
There's so many protocols coming out, and everyone again has their USP, but we still don't know who wins or if it's going to be one chain rules all or it's going to be multi-chain ecosystem. And I mean, we're all here to see that consolidation happen, right? But what's missing is that people aren't seeing the problems anymore. They're seeing that this has been solved. This is making good money, and let's try to rebuild this again, right? So that's exactly why we wanted to bring in more
I'm glad.
people.
So the herd mentality is what you don't like. Come in with something new.
I mean, don't like is a strong word, but we'd like to change it, yes.
You'd like to change it? Yes, why not? I mean, and I agree with you because everybody wants to follow where the money is.
Yeah.
And that's the herd thing. But I'm glad a lot of new ideas have come in today. Did you meet anybody interesting, any special ideas that you liked at the community today?
Unfortunately, the community has been all over the place that I haven't been able to talk to a lot of developers per se. I've been mostly running around with
But the turnout's been
speakers.
amazing. I think the average age is 21.
Yeah, I think it's the job fair that cut it. Everyone wants a job. Yeah, everyone's here for employment, and also this space is known to be able to promote remote working, right? So you don't have to necessarily sit out of an office. You can sit in India, work for a company abroad, and make that 120K
Not
salary.
many people realize that, right? Web3 offers a lot of jobs, and I mean, if you're a very good software engineer or you understand technologies or languages, you can build for Web3.
You can build for Web3.
And the job fair, was it very cleverly done so that people attend the conference and that way you get new ideas? There's an hackathon happening also.
Yeah, so initially our plan was to do a hackathon as well, but then we realized, okay, ETH India is a hackathon on its own, and there are so many multiple hackathons happening for different ecosystems across this week, and nobody's really looking at further what is after this hackathon, right? Developers come in, they take their prize money, and then they move on to the next big contest. Yeah.
How many of them can become companies is something that we want to look at.
Yeah, how many can become companies? How many of them actually want to use this talent to actually find an opportunity, right? Be it a job or whatever. So I thought a job fair is something that hasn't been done. No other job fair has been done this entire week, and I think that's why we've gotten the rush of people as well. And everyone's here for that employment opportunity.
But you've got some great people. Before I move on to Lumos, of course, I want to just call out the people, and I must thank you for, Jason of Airstack, the Nethermind folks. I think there's Mustafa, right, from Celestia Labs, right, and Rohit from Jedi Swap. There's been an amazing list of people who are here, and there was an interesting, your sponsors, Get. Yes, I keep getting, thank you for correcting me.
No
Get. Your sponsors had this, and a lot of people kept talking about that fun blockchain for youth kind of an initiative. That was amazing, right? It's interesting to see so many people want to fund startup ideas now, and that I heard is a grant.
Yep.
It's not even an equity-based fund, right? It's interesting. So you were able to get all these people together. How much of an emphasis do you place on this community to give back or pass it on?
the community that's come in.
Yes.
So that's the main reason we're doing this event in itself, right? We want people to learn as opposed to come in for everything else that a conference offers, right? Merch, food. We actually want them to come in for the content, come in for the networking, to meet more people in the industry and grow and learn. Maybe find your co-founder. And
yeah, that's the best thing, yes.
Yeah, this is a great place to find people to work with, find a job. Even if you don't have a job fair, there are opportunities.
I don't know about the others, but I made a few connections today.
There you go.
Who really said that let's
I'm
do
glad
something
this was
together.
useful for you.
It was. I mean, and that's the objective of a community, right? You have people not just come and have the drink or the food or something, but to say that we'll go pass it on, we'll do something together. Fabulous. Now, I've been talking to Lumos for years now. And the evolution's been amazing, right? There was a lot. I mean, I must also thank you guys. 2017, 18, when I used to visit the States, US a lot more. A lot of the early blockchain entities were introduced by you guys, and interesting stuff happened.
They're still friends. That's the best part.
And they continue to talk even today, right? There's no transaction or anything. So that's the beauty of the community that you guys have built as Lumos. So how have you guys evolved? What are you doing? I heard a lot more solutions. I haven't met you guys for 5 years now. So what's going on?
So, well, when you met us 5 years ago, we were a service business doing developer programs, helping chains get tech adoption. And we're still pretty much doing that, but just in a more automated way, right? So, over the years, we realized that service businesses are hard to scale, hard to run, very human intensive, and we wanted to automate most of the work that was done by us as a team on a product, right? So that's how the Lumos, product suite sort of came into being. So our entire ethos was getting more developers into Web3. We always, knew that this is an engineering movement, and we need more engineers to make this, make this space go forward, right? So how do you do that? This is by putting money into the hands of developers, giving them access to opportunities, and giving them that network that they need, right, to take the next step. So and we wanted to kind of break this down. So for startups, there's a different DNA that you need, and Raghu must have already spoken to you about that. But for developers, there's a different DNA, right, and a different set of things that you need to do. So if we are looking at developers in Web2 who are looking at exploring Web3 or finding opportunities, they first need to upskill themselves. So they first need to unlearn what they learned on the centralized part, in terms of the tech, and then learn how decentralized networks and distributed systems work. So for that, we have created an academy that essentially rolls out courses, gives them that practical knowledge. So it's not theoretical where, you have a textbook-like conversation that they read.
A lot of people are doing that anyway.
Yeah, so we get them to build apps, we give them, proof of work that they've done this, and, they've actually built whatever they... Yeah, so it could be as simple as building a voting app, a decentralized voting app using Polygon chain, right? So we teach them how to write the smart contracts, we teach them how to deploy the app, and we give them all the necessary tools they need to do it. So this academy essentially enables these newbies to come in and learn and start exploring the ecosystem in a more meaningful way, right, and not be lost. Even today, I see a lot of attendees coming in who are very new to blockchain. So I think
they know the underlying basic software technologies, but not yet into how to apply it.
How to apply it, apply it.
But they're the primary target, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, everyone's going after the Web3 developers who are already contributing, right? And that's the smaller piece of the pie. Nobody's looking at the larger piece of the pie, which is the 28 million developers that are there who can essentially contribute here, right? And they don't have to work full time. That's the beauty of it.
You read my mind, because I was just about to say, I've met people who work for centralized companies, but who also do work on, in the evenings whenever they come back home, because it's the US time or Europe has some time left. They work for these companies, to build decentralized apps. That's the best way to reskill yourself. And in college, 100%. It's the best time to learn Web3, because obviously you're learning your AIs, your Reacts, your AI languages like Python or everything in the back end. But you have a chance to learn something new. And it's open. They can actually come to Lumos and actually build projects.
It's open, yeah. And the whole learn to earn models come in, right? With
Are you introducing that?
Eventually, yes, that is in the plan. We haven't started that yet, but what we do is work with chains to get grants.
Okay.
So as learners complete the programs, they get a little bit
grant to build something more?
It would be to upskill themselves, saying,
so I am good at the project.
If they're good at the project, if they complete it and deploy it on a test net, right? We kind of give them some remuneration for their time. So it's earlier it always used to be, you pay for the learning, with portals out there, but right now we want to pay them to learn instead.
So you're completely focused on builders, completely.
Developers, yes, builders,
yes. And how have they evolved? I mean, like you said, we saw a young crowd coming here for jobs. It was the same 5 years ago. It's at least now these guys have the information to learn from you guys. So the academic part of the company helps. You have grants that you do. Anything else that you offer?
Yeah, so once they're done learning all of this, right, they need to apply their knowledge somewhere, and that takes me to the next part of the suite. A mixture, right? So once they learn, they either want to find a job, they want to maybe put their skills to practical use. So like participate in hackathons, contests, that sort of stuff, or contribute to the ecosystem if they've been able to maybe grasp the concept a little better than the others, right? So that's where grant programs really come into the picture. So if you put out a research paper to a chain saying, I'm going to research on this particular topic, fund me for that research, it works like any other research product. They are happy to give out.
Have there been good ones from your website or from your ecosystem?
So the grants portal is yet to come, but we do have some researchers in our community who have put this out, and we personally help them through the journey, but it's not automated, right? So we reach out to the grants team in organizations in different chains, and if this is interesting to them, they're happy to fund that research and maybe enable it.
Kaavya, why haven't you looked at corporate yet? I mean, a lot of the corporate builders, developers, even corporates themselves would want to say that, look, we know decentralization. Now, how do we apply it? Because they've seen many phases of tech evolution, and I'm sure they want to upskill their employees too, right?
100%. So we have not particularly worked with corporates, but we have worked with engineers in corporates, right? So getting through the whole corporate bureaucracy and getting them to understand that, okay, we want to run workshops and we want to teach people and then give them these opportunities is not as simple as it seems. But reaching out to them on a personal capacity is. So we do have a good developer community of software engineers in different MNCs who come in, and the funny thing is they are actually a lot more confident about their fundamentals, right? And that makes them better engineers in general.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're already trained, they've been there.
Exactly, so they understand how scalable systems work. And I was just having a fireside chat with Moshik, and he had the exact same vision about it, right? That when Web 2 devs and Web 3 devs, meet together, then it's magic, because
it is magic, right? Because they are seeing the future of the world's evolution, and I hope that happens. But do you see? I mean, let me say the CEOs, the C-suite leaders. Do you ever see them coming to you, sitting down with you and saying, look, we want to understand this ourselves, because 5 years from now, we don't want to be left behind something? Do you see that such a state of mind at all?
Not in the MNC level, no, not the C-suite guys from there. They already have their own models, and what we do in this scenario is not the same that they do in the corporate or the enterprise side. So enterprise blockchain solutions in general are very different, and they are not, they use permissioned blockchains as opposed to permissionless ones, because they want to handle their own nodes, and that's for security and privacy reasons of their own, right? So what we do here in this ecosystem doesn't really reflect there. So there are chains that do the same. They have a hybrid model, like Hedera, for example, is a permissioned and permissionless blockchain. So you can decide which way to go, and at that point you see enterprises coming in and exploring this. So there are a couple, Art3 Corda is another one. So there are a couple of those guys who do. And the use cases in itself are very different. They've been around for a while.
So for me, when I look at Web3 today, it's like a rabbit hole, or going into the Alice in Wonderland novel. Just go and there's so much, like I said, there are so many chains. Layer 2 EVMs, so many. Right? Tokens, so many. There's so many terms that people use. And it's sometimes confusing. Do you think with that complexity, it has to be simplified somewhere, saying that, look, we need to make it easier for the common layperson, maybe a business decision maker, to understand it, so they can adapt to it, right? And then probably then proliferate the idea, saying, hey, it works, because my end consumer really doesn't care, because the system's working.
Yeah, I've always said this, the future is when an end consumer is using an application and they don't know it's decentralized. And that's when we're going to have mass adoption. I don't expect my dad to create a MetaMask wallet and get the Chrome extension and sign smart contracts. That's so bad. Yeah, it's too hard for them to understand.
It's so hard. I mean, we struggle as it is, but that
But luckily, India, is a very young country, and we're like, our average age is what, 28?
27. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
27,
something like that.
But we are going to be younger 10 years down. It's going to be 32 or 36 or something, in 10, 15 years.
So we're pretty technologically savvy, I would say. So
you're saying the hope is that we will use these solutions for the better.
We will use the solutions for the better, for sure. Yeah.
And doesn't it make us look as if we are at the gateway of change in a way?
100%.
And that it's been, and has a journey been difficult for you?
Entrepreneurship in general is a roller coaster ride. So definitely, and in an ecosystem that's so volatile, that one day there's a company that's running, and the next day
it shuts, and all the people ask you questions.
Yeah, it's scary, and it could happen to anybody with the market downturn, right? We're all dealing with a volatile asset as well. So yeah, definitely not an easy ride, but it's very, very exciting. That I would always say. And keeps you on your toes.
Kaavya, your partner Raghu has now built BuildersTribe. How significant is that? You said they work exclusively with startups, and do you see a spin-off between the two, meeting of minds, as to speak, there between builders and startups? So will that happen?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and yes, the short answer is yes. I don't know if Raghu mentioned this, but the reason BuildersTribe even exists is because of the work that we've done at Lumos. So every time we ran these programs with developers, we started seeing these really interesting projects come out.
Right.
And as these projects came out, we're like, oh, this is an opportunity. We are finding a startup way before it's a startup. We can actually enable them, help them, and get them to the next level, right?
Absolutely, you can get them to scale with this community, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we it could be anything from us being able to build that tech for them through our community, or even enable them through the network that we have. We've been around in the space for long enough to make a good set of meet a good set of people, and asking a friend to introduce you to someone else is very easy here, right? So we're a very close-knit ecosystem in itself. So, but the DNA of both of these audience spaces very different, right? What you do to support a startup and what you do to support a developer, very different.
Things.
Very different in terms of your approach, right? So we did try to help these startups back at Lumos, and it didn't go in the way that we wanted it to, right? We couldn't get them to that end goal.
Get the focus right. So
get the focus right.
We have two things here. Let's separate the two and make sure that they work in tandem later on when they need each other.
Yeah. So that's how BuildersTribe was formed, and now he's exclusively working with startups, and he's a startup guy. That's meant for him. And I have taken a great liking to this tech, right? So it really works out here as well. So where I see us working together is, like I said, the developers are going to eventually be that founder or be these founders.
They'll graduate to that.
They'll graduate to that. And we work in layers. So we essentially are catering to that entire stack of builders, right? All the way from learning to starting up and getting funding and taking it to the next level. So I see huge synergies, and we do have interesting plans for the next year.
How many builders in India for blockchain? Would you have tracked that?
Yes, the number isn't too high. So overall, we have, with Electric Capital's report, about 300 odd K developers.
That's quite a number.
Yeah, that's overall globally.
Globally.
That's these are people who contributed on GitHub.
India can have a lot more, no?
It can. We have the quantity.
Yes.
The only thing we're lacking, the quality is what we're lacking, and that's where evangelists and these education companies and companies that go to the grassroots and do workshops are really, really needed, because we need to make sure everyone knows what this is.
For my audience to watch this, most of them are businesses. They should get in touch with you because
businesses in Web3.
Yes.
I can help you with tech talent, as simple as that. If you need anybody to build anything, talk to me. I have the community.
Okay. What would you tell the old school businesses if they're watching this and they want to go decentralization?
For old school businesses, I would say, come talk to me. Let me first, get you to understand what this ecosystem is about, what the ethos of blockchain is. Why are we here, right? Even though there is so much backlash on the other ends. And regulation is uncertain, we are still here, and there is obviously something to it. So come talk to me and I'll explain to you why we should do it, and then tell me if we should do it.
Okay, and what about India's regulation? Progressive?
I'm not going to comment there, I don't know.
On the technology, are there use cases in technology?
Government is very, very bullish on blockchain. Yes. Yeah, the tech, yes.
On the
token layer,
side, let's not go.
Yeah,
let's not go
we
there.
Don't know.
Let's not go there at all. But I hear blockchain implementation, government contracts.
Yeah,
A
we
lot
were
of those
lucky enough to
experiments
work
going.
with the Telangana government
How
as
was
well.
that
So
experience?
we ran 2 accelerator programs with them, and they mostly look at blockchain as real world use cases. So use cases in supply chain and
Yes.
healthcare. Those are the kind of solutions they usually want to incubate. Land registry on the blockchain and stuff like that. So we've been able to get some really good projects for them. So we ran 2 programs for them. Both of them were successes, and some of the startups are still running. Obviously it is a risky business and a lot of them shut down, but I've seen guys from 2019 all the way up till now still doing quite well for themselves.
Last question. I'm a 20-year-old, like people came here for the jobs at the Build Summit, right? What would you advise them when they have to learn about blockchain?
Don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Start slow. I am not a techie by degree. I'm an architect by degree, and I've been able to code. All you need to know is understand your fundamentals. So go back to how mathematics, yes, and go back to how the internet started, right? How did that work for us to be able to decentralize it? So what is Web 1, what is Web 2, and now what is Web 3? Don't try to jump right into it. It will be overwhelming for you to understand.
It'll be fine, just learn.
Learn, take it slow, don't get overwhelmed, and join the Lumos Academy if you need help, and we have mentors.
That's a good segue into my final question. Learn from the Lumos Academy. But what are you reading personally? How do you unwind? What would you recommend to our audience?
Funny thing, when I unwind, I completely unwind from Web3 altogether.
Okay.
So currently I'm reading a book called How to Be a Woman. It's a feminist book.
It doesn't matter. Is it a good one? Is it helping?
It's interesting. I generally read a lot of these interesting satire books. So
okay.
that's what
Anything
I'm
else
reading.
you'd recommend? Movies, pieces of art if you like?
Pieces of art. In terms of if we're going towards the NFT movement, I would say in general, I'm not a NFT holder, so I don't own any Bored Apes or any of those large NFTs. But if you want, look at it as an investment, and that's what large art is anyway. So if you want to hold a Bored Ape, hold it because it's going to go up eventually.
Good?
Yeah, it's a
That's
community.
A good suggestion.
It's like being a part of a Rolex club, right? So you own a Bored Ape and you get access to all of these exclusive events. You get to meet other Bored Ape holders who are also celebrities. So it's a exclusive community.
It's a huge community. You got to be introduced to get into that community.
You need to buy a Bored Ape or be given a Bored Ape. Nobody's going to give you that, and it's too expensive to buy.
How expensive? Just for
Currently, I don't know. I'm not sure, but last I checked, maybe a year ago, it was about 1.2 ETH or more at the time.
Roughly translated to fiat currency, how much would that be? A lot of money?
Yeah, a lot of money.
Quite a lot of money.
$3-4K or more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I wish you all the best with Lumos, right? And I wish people watching this, if the young ones are watching this, they should come learn about blockchain, but don't be overwhelmed by it, right? If you're a builder, definitely you have to be on Lumos, right? Because she's going to graduate you into building a startup later, or helping many more companies to get to decentralization.
Whatever the end goal is, right?
Whatever the end goal is,
we'll help you.
Go see Lumos. Yes. And what's the website? Lumos Partners?
LumosLabs.co.
LumosLabs.co. LumosLabs.co, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got it.